There is an 11-point gap now between themselves and Liverpool. A Liverpool side who've lost just once all season, and now City slumped to their 4th defeat. The truth is that the Blues just have not been themselves in the last few weeks. Injuries have taken their toll, confidence has been brittle, and for the first time in a very, very long time, the Blues find themselves outside the top 4 and a distant 5th place behind the league leaders Liverpool. A goal in a dominant first 20 minutes tucked in by Gakpo gave Liverpool the lead. The Blues rode the storm but could not find a way back in. And then when Mo Salah tucked away a second half penalty, you knew that the game was up. Quite extraordinarily, you look at City's recent form and it says that in Premier League terms, the Blues have lost 4 matches in a row. We are in unprecedented territory, but if anyone can turn it around, surely it is City. The final score at Anfield on a day that Liverpool have just looked the better team. Liverpool 2, City 0. Well, let's go back to the studio. Joleon, Lescott, David James and Kel Spellman.
Welcome back to Match Day Live. Thank you for joining us. And Manchester City fans, that is not a result any of us wanted to see. It is finished full-time at Anfield. Liverpool 2, Man City 0. These are live pictures from the stadium. Joleon, we knew it was going to be a tough game. We know how hard it is to go to Anfield as well, and that's it's kind of how it's played out. It's not the result, obviously, City fans want to see.
Yeah, of course not. And the first half was a disappointing performance. Second half, there was a lot more positives, but yeah, probably didn't deserve to win or get anything out of the game over the course of 90 minutes. And it's never a good way to lose, but yeah, there's positives in the second half, the way they showed a lot more character and belief.
It's funny there, I think Pep just reminded Manchester City fans, I know we're probably all feeling a bit low at the moment, but I think that 6 there is the 6 league titles that he has won. David, could City have done anything better today?
I think the frustration, or part of the frustration, will be 1-0 down at half-time. Still very much in the game, starting the game second half very well. You make your substitutions, again putting the width on with Doku in particular. Get the advantage over Trent Alexander-Arnold, but not create the openings or the opportunities to get Kevin Kelleher to have to make the saves. Mm-hmm. Having said that, you're still in the game at 1-0, and then, which I think has been the more uncharacteristic trait of late, a defensive mistake allows the opportunity for Diaz to get through for the penalty. Mm-hmm. Once the second goal goes in, then it's terrible. And then obviously because there was one mistake by Virgil, swept up or cleaned up by Queven. Other than that, I mean...
Yeah, but they had a chance that Salah should have scored as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but what I'm saying is...
chances go in, it's still...
Yeah, but it's still 1-0. And then the mistake...
Maybe it would have been 2-0.
Which led...
Salah's would have made it 2. So again, it was 1-0, and then it goes to 2-0. So you can always say, oh, if... But they had a couple ifs as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and going back to Gemma's point, I think we've started to nullify the threat of Trent's going forward. Mm-hmm. And obviously it's easy now, it's hindsight, but maybe play to his weakness and put Doku in and say, you may be more efficient going forward, but I'm going to expose your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. And in the second half he does that, and all of a sudden Trent has less effect on the game, where I think he's put Nunes in there to say, nullify Trent's threat. And it still doesn't...
Yeah, it didn't kind of work.
It happened, so yeah, again, it's hindsight now, but...
Yeah, sorry, my point is that it was 1-0 with Salah's chance. The chance for where Kelleher's come out and made the save for KDB, it was 2-0, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're going to chase the game or try and get in the game. You're always going to leave yourself exposed a little bit. Mm-hmm. But for it to be a mistake that allows the opportunity for a penalty, that's the frustration. Yeah. And in the end, I mean, again, Kelleher's made, one, maybe 2 saves in the game. Mm. It's just the width, and again, it sort of seemed to play out the way that we thought it would be, that it was more of a containment, then we'll go for it. Doku has Trent, he's beating him. OK, Trent did get a couple of tackles in, but it's what you're going to do when you've beaten him. and then there wasn't a delivery for someone to have a shot. It was kind of like the ball broke down again. So again, little bits of frustration. I think the game plan, given what's happened in the last month or so, was probably the right way of doing it. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite materialise at the key points when it needed to.
No. Speaking of those mistakes, talking through, obviously we know the goal in the first half, but the penalty, you kind of pointed out, centre-half shouldn't...
Yeah, there's a... What is it? Occurrence of multiple mistakes. Yeah. I think it's a short pass, and then he has to try and get out of it with flicking the ball, which there's never a good time for a centre half to be in that position. There's never a positive way to do that or need to do that, and then it goes through, and then it's 2v1, and Ortega then tries to rectify the previous mistake and gives away a pen. So normally when defensive errors happens, the third one normally leads to a goal. Yeah. And yeah, it led to a penalty, which led to the goal. Yeah, very, very frustrating. We spoke about these mistakes that have been creeping in. Is that a case of low confidence? Yeah.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristic, isn't it? You know, and every player will make a mistake. Yeah. As goalkeepers, you're often told if you make a mistake, it usually ends up in a goal. That's not always the case, but you're always going to make mistakes somewhere. Yeah. But most of the time you get away with it. Even if you concede a goal, if you're in the right side, you'll get it. I mean, Virgil van Dijk has probably made the biggest mistake of the game. Yeah, and gets away with it. Makes a save. So it doesn't affect his confidence. It only affects you when the outcome is a negative outcome. So, yeah, there'll be players there. And you see uncharacteristic mistakes like Bernardo's short pass. That's what he's in there for, is to control the ball. And you see moments of brilliance and all of a sudden he gives a short pass and they're through. So, yeah, it's confidence that is a bigger factor on the results then, and the greatest respect non-footballing minds would understand. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think you just think, you just go out there and you just be able to do it. No, when you're being a bit more tentative with it, you're thinking, this has got to get there, and you put a little bit more on it and it's overhit or it's under it, and it's like, all of a sudden, doubt starts creeping in, and then it leads to more mistakes. What I don't know if you've I asked you this before the game, if you remember at a time where you were in a team and you were on a run like this. What's the manager's message? What's the conversation in the changing room? I've been on some bad runs, been in some bad teams, and at City, funnily enough, not quite the same as it. I mean, we've got to put things in perspective. We're talking about the best team in the country for the last 4 or 5 years. Best team in Europe over that period as well. We weren't. We were a pretty newly promoted side, but going on away runs. And I think we lost 8 or 9 consecutive away games, and being 1-1 at Portsmouth with a corner in the 90th minute, thinking we can get a point, only to lose 2-1. It's kind of like it's very, very difficult to get yourself up. But the point is, we're talking about the best players, and Ali's alluding to, I think, what a lot of people are thinking at the moment. It's 11 points. It's this. It's that. It's going to be. Of course, it's going to be more difficult than 8 points or 5 points. But it's still within the realms of possibility. And if City are the best players in the world, then they're going to have to start showing that they're the best players very soon in order to still make this a contest with regards to them and Liverpool. Because as Joleon was saying, it's 4 games. 11 points is 4 games. And that's Liverpool losing 4 games. Yeah, that's the factor I look at. I don't look at the 11 points because City can win 10 games, 12 games in a row. Can Liverpool lose 4? That's what so, and that's always been the factor for City. It's like, we know they're going to win, but are they going to lose? They never tend to lose, and that's where Liverpool are now. It's like... But they can. I mean, there's 25 games to go, and that's the point. If this was 15 games to go in the season, you're saying, hang on a minute, you're not going to do it. But there's still 25 games. For every... And if you think about the Tottenham game in the League Cup, it wasn't a surprise that Tottenham can beat City at the Tottenham Stadium because it's been happening a lot since they've moved there. But for the next games to happen, no one was expecting it. We're sitting in a position here, no one was expecting City to lose these games in a row. No. So we're not expecting Liverpool to do anything like that, but it's not beyond the realms of capability. You have to be in a position that you can actually take advantage of it. Yeah. Lovely stuff. Right, OK, thank you. We'll pause that here. Let's go get the thoughts of Michael Brown and FG, who have been at Anfield for us this afternoon. How are you getting on, gents?
Yes, full time here at Anfield. Liverpool 2, Manchester City 0. We'll start with the first half, shall we, Brownie? It was a really, the keeper had his work cut out, Ortega, in the opening stages, and I thought we gained a bit of control in the second half as well, and then conceded a penalty, of course. Yeah, it was a difficult start. I expected a physical encounter, back to front quickly, Liverpool putting pressure on
they created far too many opportunities very, very early. We couldn't get control. We tried to move the ball and play out. So there was stuff of positives there, quite brave. But if you look at the count, Rico Lewis was maybe the only shot that we had in the first half. He tried to go with the outside of his foot, hit the sort of divot, went wide. So for the little bit of possession we had, we didn't really create. We didn't put the pressure back on them. Second half was much better. I felt like the tempo increased, but you had something to go at, didn't you? You had something to chase. But we've gone behind, and that's also made it very, very difficult. But once Doku come on, he looked sharp. We got into better positions. I felt like we had to get a goal. I said to Ali in commentary, they are going to put pressure. I do fancy them to score. And then that uncertainty with Ruben Diaz, whether it was a foul or not. Then over the top of Ortega, as a striker, you're engineering, you're trying to say, I'm going to be there first. Stefan's saying, I didn't touch him, but it was going to be hard to overturn it. Very, very disappointed not to get anything from the game. I think when we started here, we said, just take something.
Well, there were moments in the game that looked like a bit more like Pep's Manchester City team. They kept the ball really well in the second half. They moved it about, and like you said, it was nice to see Doku and Savinho come on. The impact Doku had was clear for everyone to see against Trent especially.
Doku was good, wasn't he? Trent actually didn't know which way he was going to go, left and right. They made that change. I thought they would have put Gomez right back. Konza went there. And then was just a supply line, and we've seen Kevin come on. Van Dijk, an unusual mistake, and then that was it. I thought we're going to get something, and it was really interesting that Kevin waits. He's so good at it. Tries to slot it through his legs, just catches the back leg of Kelleher, and then that was it. You know, the moment had gone, and it wasn't going to be.
Well, listen, still a lot to play for in the Premier League. This group of players, they won't be panicking. We see it every single year. The fact we always find ourselves in a position like this, but there's so much more football and so many more competitions to play for as well.
For sure. I think the Champions League is going to come round, but do you know what? Let's just keep doing this in the Premier League. We've got to try and go for it. I think the manager's message will be it's going to be very difficult to overturn this with this Liverpool side growing in confidence and going well. But you never say never in this game in the Premier League. What we've got to do really is just look forward to the next game. Home game against Forest. Try and take the 3 points. Try and set some momentum. Try and stop this rot. And that's so important. That's the next step. It's just the next something to build on. That's what we've got to focus on. The manager will come out fighting. I think he'll just say, OK, we'll take some pressure off the team. Liverpool's titles to lose, that's for certain. But it's important that we do get that win. We've got to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a really nice moment as well. We didn't manage to capture it, but that was Pep, who went over with the whole squad to the away fans. The away fans stayed, supported them, and I think that's where we're at now. We need to get behind the team as always, the team that's given us so many great memories, and I'm almost certain we're going to get plenty more in the future. Thank you so much, Brownie, for joining us at Anfield. We'll head back now.
Thanks, FG. Thanks to Michael Brown as well for bringing us all that action. And as well, thank you, of course, to Natalie, Nedum and Shaun, who are over in Toronto. It was great to hear from them over there. And I think that's such an important point that FG's said there. And I know Ruben Diaz was speaking about this earlier in the week, that now is the time, as fans, and particularly at the Etihad Stadium, you have to get behind the boys and almost be that 12th man and protect them. And he was talking about, making the Etihad loud. And I think that's a really important message, Joleon.
Yeah, and I don't think that has ever been in question. I don't think it will be in question. I think there'll be a doubt that the fans will recognise the players probably need them more so now than when things are going well. So, yeah, the volume at the Etihad will definitely be more intimidating for the opposition and more encouraging for the lads. Mm-hmm.
Also, David, as you said, you found yourself in these runs before. What do you think Pep's message is going to be?
Well, you can't tell people to be confident.
No.
That's the thing. You can't say, come on, get yourself out of it. I think, and again, it's just recognising where the problems were. And I think I'll go back to the point about the injuries. Losing key players is always going to be possibly a psychological issue, but the key players that City lost, as in, we're going back a bit, but Rodri and KDB, they handled that without a problem. I think, as I say, it was the offensive players that were the issue. Doku comes on, like the guys were saying, he has an impact on the game. A positive impact on the game. Mm-hmm. City are in a better place when you've got the likes of Doku in there, as they did against Feyenoord with Jack Grealish. I think it's more about having the right personnel to put on the field to get the results. Not in the Forest. I think you're going to have Jack back, you're going to have Doku back fully fit, you're going to have KDB fully fit. All of a sudden, Pep's going to pick a team which is going to beat Forest, and it's going to that's what we normally do. Yeah. Fantastic. Today, and you're playing the best team in the country at the moment. And they're the best team for a reason, because they're playing the best football. And if you're under par, losing 2-0, had that been City's strongest side, you lose 2-0, that's it, probably even worse. irrespective of what's happened in the last 5 games. So I just think it's going to be about going on training field, obviously doing the preparation for Forest, picking the right, obviously sounds obvious, but pick the right side, win the game, and then all of a sudden you'll see a completely different mood. And the crowd bit...
Yeah, and I think probably for a period of time now, it's probably more important to win than it is to perform. I think Pep's always wants to perform well, and we always want to see that, and it's always been great. But I think now, get a couple wins and be lucky or be fortunate, and maybe it's very rare City are lucky to win. Yeah. But maybe just that has to happen, and then all of a sudden, a bit more momentum, a bit more confidence comes back, and then you start seeing players play to their full potential.
I mean, Nottingham Forest though, great season. It's not going to be an easy fixture at all. I mean, they've had a great season so far. I mean, I think they're at 6. They're only just behind us. Yeah, but
I've been in their position as well. You know, the sort of the team that no one expects to be.
You still get humbled.
Yeah.
Still, you still come to the end and they get humbled. They'll be aware of that.
Yeah, and just think they're on a bit of a crest of a wave because they're in a high position early on in the season. But they're not winning all their games. They're not talking about Bayer Leverkusen in Germany last season or the season before, where it was like, hang on a minute, they're undefeated and look like they could win it. This is like Forest doing well. And I think the problem is when you go in there and think, OK, they're not that great, really, we will beat them, that's when you get surprised. And I think this is where Liverpool learned when they lost to Forest. It was almost expected that they should go and beat Forest, and Forest had different plans. So, yes, you're right, it's not going to be easy, but City are a better team, even at the moment, than I think Nottingham Forest are.
Yeah. And you feel as well, maybe we'll see a couple of changes, maybe a few different personnel on the pitch.
I think that'll be the case. JMO said then, I think Daku, Jack, Kevin maybe. So, I expected to be changes, but I would have anyway, even if that was a 2-0 win.
Yes,
There would have been changes. Very rarely he just keeps the same team for any reason. He likes to change the team due to the state of the personnel, but also the state of the opposition, and recognise what type of games it's going to be. You probably have more possession out of the pitch, so players in the areas that have more effect on the offensive outcome. Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick word as well. We've obviously got the Club World Cup that's happening in the States. I think the draw's going to be happening this week, so make sure you keep across our channels. That's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. UK time. Quite interesting this be the Club World Cup, David.
Yeah, just what you need, more games.
More games,
The timing of it's strange. I think the final's like the 14th of July.
But I think if you get that far, it's something like 2 weeks before then.
The pre-season. But like players will be, contract finishes, your contract expires on the 30th of June. So what are you going to have players doing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
I think... and again, I mean, there was a part where Pep and Rodri, I think, Rodri was quite outspoken about it, wasn't it, about the amount of games being played.
Yeah.
There was a bit where I didn't agree with it. If you're the best team and you're playing the most games, that's because you're the best team and you have to, as a manager or as a player...
I think it was more the competitions. I think FIFA and UEFA, they're not aligned, are they? So they want their competition.
They're not best of friends.
Yeah, and then they want their competition to be the best, so hence they change...
Well, that's the point. I agree with him now because when you think that the expansion of the Champions League to start with,
so I mean, that's
more of them. Now you've got a Club World Cup which has been expanded.
They want the same, and then the World Cup's coming with more teams.
Yeah.
So everybody wants their competition to be the greatest.
P1,
Where there should be a governing body that they're all aligned to saying you can only have
a certain
access.
amount. Yeah. Especially, I mean, I think as well the Champions League game final finishes it's only 2 weeks then between the Club World Cup starts.
Especially when to the detriment of our game. So now we have to cut off our replays in our competitions for the clubs in our pyramid that will benefit from that because there's so many games for the top tier teams and now there's no replays. So again,
the knock-on effect as well. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting anyway. But that Thursday that's happening on Thursday at 6 p.m. Gents. Not the result we wanted, but always an absolute pleasure to have you for company. As I say, thank you as well to FG and to Michael. Thank you as well to Natalie, Shaun and Nedum. I'll be back with you later on in the week, of course, bringing you that Forest game. We're bringing you all the action. Nicky Weaver and Gareth Taylor will be with me in the studio, so make sure you come and join us. Until then, though, have a lovely evening and great start to the week. Thanks for watching.
City code.
We don't keep going. We're at home and we're scared.
That's why no one did 4 Premier Leagues in a row. That's the reason why. It's so difficult. City's ball is Chelsea's man.
Are City starting to show signs of vulnerability?
When teams are playing against Man City, they've lost that air of invincibility.
The storm always bad guy.
Keep going, boys. No matter what, keep going.
If they go up a couple of years, can Liverpool and Arsenal stay with them? We're going to do it together. Together here, positive.
De Bruyne looking to shoot. Oh, he scored!
Yet more twists and turns. This title race could be a classic.
You have to prove how incredible you are as a team. It doesn't matter the consequence, you win or don't win. You have to prove yourself.
Get us that league, huh? Yeah, get us that league.